to this month's Member to Member Connection. I'm ASHRAE President Mick Schwedler, and this week we get to talk with some of our students. We have 3 students and then the chair of our Student Activities Committee. The first student is Melanie Canfield. We met when I had the privilege to be down at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Florida. Next is Brett Stinson. He's at Portland State University in Oregon. Megan Oaklief is at Montana State University in Bozeman. And Jared Larson is the chair of our ASHRAE Student Activities Committee. So I'm going to ask some questions and we'll see where this conversation goes. Melanie, the first one's going to come to you. Can you please tell us about your experience as an ASHRAE member at your university?
Hi, so I'm Melanie. Like he said, I'm from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach. Here we have an undergraduate track for energy systems. So that's where a majority of our members for ASHRAE will be from. It's a relatively small group of people, but now we have a whole lab dedicated to thermal sciences. So we have a bit more like traction with ASHRAE this year. And to be a member, it's a pretty close-knit group, about 10 people, and we try to go to events like the winter conference and host events. But we're just trying to get our members the opportunity to meet professional individuals and get jobs and network for the future.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing. And I'll say, well, it might only be 10 members. I think you had 25 or so when I was down there. So thanks for reaching out to people who weren't members yet.
Oh,
Brett,
yeah.
how about you go next?
Yeah, so I am an undergraduate mechanical engineering student here at Portland State, and I work in a research lab here called the Healthy Buildings Research Laboratory. And it's very, the person that heads the lab is also our ASHRAE chapter sponsor. So a lot of our students come from the engineering side. So we have environmental engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers. We do outreach with the architecture department on the other side of campus. We've done the ISBD challenge, design challenge a few years. We actually, last year, one of our capstone projects was the ISBD challenge, which was really nice. Yeah, and it is kind of a small group. We have 4 or 5 officers, probably between 15 to 20 members. We do 2 to 3 events a term usually. And we work really, really closely with the Oregon chapter, putting on events, networking, that kind of stuff. We do teach an HVAC class here at Portland State, so a lot of the student members are in that class right now with me. But yeah, I'm president. I don't think I mentioned that. I'm president of the ASHRAE Club here. And yeah, and I will be a grad student here next year, so I'm going to continue to be president, at least for another year.
Congratulations and thanks for doing that. Megan, what's going on at Montana State?
So at MSU, so I'm Megan, and I'm a mechanical engineering technology student here at MSU. We have a pretty solid base program. The club itself will vary drastically year by year, but we always have at least 3 leaders and about 10 members at a minimum. We've had up to 27 or 30 in the past. And the events that we go to, we always go to the winter conference, of course, and we have talks and tours, just mainly around campus itself, as construction is booming here in Bozeman. So there's ample opportunity to wander around. And as projects go, we've had capstones set up through the various ASHRAE competitions, as well as another capstone the club created for a generator bike to better represent how much energy you actually put into, say, turning on a light or a fan. And other than that, overall, we want it to be fun and helpful. And so we have events with the Big Sky chapter. We hang out, we have pizza, we talk about homework. We have a building energy systems minor, which has 2 HVAC classes, a Revit class, as well as some other civil classes in it. And so we try and give students an opportunity to understand the industry before they work in it.
That's a great way to phrase it. Thanks so much, all 3 of you, for sharing. It sounds like great things are going on at all three universities. Brett, the next one's going to come to you first, and I'm going to precede the question with all three of you were at the winter conference, which was fabulous to be there. I think the conference was fantastic. So, Brett, what surprised you during your attendance at the winter conference?
Yeah, so I had been to one conference before, just in general, not ASHRAE conference, and it was nothing like the ASHRAE one. I was surprised by how big it was, how much there was to do. I was a little overwhelmed when I got there, just walking around the conference space, but I found pretty quickly that it was organized really well. I actually gave a paper presentation on the Sunday, and I was really surprised by how many people were there, how much interest there was. I connected with a whole bunch of professionals and students. Yeah, it just felt like a really good community. And compared to the other conference that I had been to, and I spoke at a different conference virtually, I think there was a lot more camaraderie. It felt like everyone was on the same page, and I really appreciated that.
Fantastic. And maybe that networking and presentation of the paper will help with a future employment opportunity.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Yeah. Megan, could you go next, please?
So I treated this past conference as a networking event, and primarily, as I have gone to past winter conferences before. And with this one specifically, what surprised me the most is the openness of the professionals there who wanted to help students and wanted to explain what they do and give advice and just talk about where they see the industry going 10 years from now or where they came from. And I was expecting, as the lowly student amongst the other professionals, that I would just kind of be brushed off. But no, I started talking to people and didn't stop. It was fantastic.
So glad to hear that people were open and willing to feed the roots, if you will. Melanie, we had a chance to take a picture around the ASHRAE sign with the students from Embry-Riddle. Outside of that, what else surprised you at the conference?
I was also gonna say the openness of the professionals. I felt like everywhere we went, talking to people was very easy, and they were very open about what they did and the progress that they're making in the industry. I was also surprised on how many presentations there were on climate change and sustainability. I went to the conference 2 years ago, and I feel like that wasn't emphasized as much. So it was nice to see the direction that ASHRAE is going, and I feel like ASHRAE as a community could really make a difference in the world.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Jared, as student activity chair, you probably would like to ask some questions. Would you go ahead with the next one, please?
I always love hearing from different people around the world, kind of what they're doing. And I'll start with Melanie first, go across my screen. And I want to just kind of find out, what are some interesting things that you guys are doing locally in your student branches, and what are popular events that are good at attracting new student members to your branches?
So one of the main things we try to do every semester is visit a local distillery, because I feel like it always gets a lot of traction. More people are willing to come out. I also feel like it helps bond our chapter a bit more. So you build those like better relationships for the networking and connections in the long term, since everyone will be in the energy industry. And we actually have an event coming up. We're going to an ice arena to check out their whole systems. And then we're going ice skating after. So we always try to have a little bit of fun with our events. So it's not all just super technical.
Nice. No, sounds good. Maybe I'll have to come visit you guys for one of those events.
For sure.
Yeah. Megan, how about you? What's your branch?
So one thing that we have started to be able to do again, now that hopefully COVID is going down a bit, is our yearly fundraiser. The Big Sky chapter in the student branch, we put on our very own casino night. And so it's a way where the students were all dealers, and so we can talk one-on-one with the professionals in around Montana. We also participated this past year in the virtual engineer-a-thon, which is where all the engineering clubs on campus present what their club does to sixth graders around Bozeman. And so this past year, we talked about pressure using ketchup. So there were quite a few explosions. And other than that, now that, yeah, we're all starting to get back in person, we're starting to go back on tours, which is always looked forward to and definitely attracts more people than not.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's exciting to hear. Glad no one got ketchup to death or anything. That was good. Brett, how about you?
Yeah, so we've been living through a pandemic. It has been hard to do in-person events, obviously, but we did have our first one last month. We did a building tour of an engineering firm down here that is participating in the Living Building Challenge, which was really, really cool. During the pandemic, we adapted accordingly, and we tried to focus a lot more on panels. So we have a lot of career panels, like professional panels, where we bring in industry people from Oregon, and we just let students ask questions. And I feel like that's been really, really helpful because a lot of our members are usually seniors and looking for jobs, and it's just a great way to connect professionals in the industry.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll hand it back to you, Mick. Another question?
Thanks, Jared. Yeah. So Megan, this one's going to come to you first. What have you shared with other students since you've been back from the conference?
Oh, there's quite a list. The majority of it is really just the people I met and the advice and stories they gave. Like one of them, as an engineer, most of my friends are less likely to go out and talk to people, and that is the one thing that was consistent with everyone I talked to, is they said just get out and say hello. Like that's all you need to do. I was also able to attend both the ASHRAE Expo, which was amazing, but a bit numbing. There's a lot. As well as I attended the members council at the end of the conference just to see what it was like. And I was really impressed at how well the meeting was run. I know that's a geeky thing, but that made me so happy to see how well it was run.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing those experiences. Brett, what have you shared?
So actually, I'm glad you asked. Just last night, I was asked to give a 20-minute presentation on my experience at the conference for the Oregon chapter's annual trivia night. So that was, yeah, I spent a lot of time setting up. Basically, I really got into it. I wasn't sure how to do it, so I walked through my experience and the AHRAE Expo just from start to finish in chronological order. I focused mainly on the student events, the events that Jared helped put together. I talked a little bit about the paper I presented, but spared them the technical details. I did talk a lot about other paper presentations I saw, the expo, as I said. And yeah, I told them that they all have to go next year because it was a lot of fun.
Fantastic. It's so great that you met with a chapter and you have, I've heard good relationships with chapters in the area. Melanie, what have you shared?
We just talked about our overall experience and then just the opportunities that arose from that. 2 of our members obtained internships for the summer just from going there and talking to the professionals, which is awesome. Super excited. And then I really just feel like as a chapter, the people who went, just talking about how much we bonded as a group was awesome, and being able to bond over all the activities, the events that they hosted. We love the pizza event, going and just seeing all the professionals out there and just being able to talk to them in a super casual manner, where it's not as like uptight and you're not as worried about what you're saying and you're just hanging out. It was awesome.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing. What a great success story. Getting 2 internships for folks from the university. Okay, Melanie, the next one's going to come right back to you. What advice would you give to a student who is not involved in the ASHRAE student branch yet?
Oh man, we're always trying to recruit people. So we always talk about all the opportunities that they're going to get for networking, since you are going to meet those in industry persona. And then we just talk about the events. So you just learn a lot more technical aspects, just and things you wouldn't consider in everyday life. So I feel like for people who are not involved in ASHRAE, as bland as ASHRAE may sound from the outside, once you're in it, it is awesome. It is a lot cooler than what you think it actually is. And you can get, we love to flex our trip to Vegas now to all the other clubs. So
Fantastic. Way to flex that trip. Megan, will you please go next?
Yeah, so I just have general advice, and that is, as a student, finding a club, specifically one that's global and that can expose you to new ideas and experiences, is extremely valuable both on and off campus, because now it not only solidifies your community and your family on campus with the members of your club, and in this case ASHRAE. And as Melanie was saying, I hang out with the people in my club much more now than I did before the conference, as well as professionally. I'm looking forward to coming back to a conference and saying hello to what I would like to think of as the new friends that I met. And I just say hello, get involved and say hello.
Thanks so much for sharing. And you brought up the global aspect. I'm going to ask a follow-up question before we get to Brett. Who did you meet from outside of North America? You don't have to name the names, but where were they from and how did that go?
Oh, India, Greece, Britain, Great Britain, Canada, South America. I don't remember what country in South America.
Because it's absolutely astounding. Thanks for, that was an unplanned question. So thanks for taking that audible there. The global aspect of connections can't be overestimated or underestimated, whichever that may mean there. They're amazing. And those people will become your friends. And ASHRAE is one of the places where you can do that at our conferences and also outside of the conferences. So Brett, so you don't forget the question, what advice would you give to students who's not involved in the student branch at Portland State University yet?
So I'll just take a little piece from my conclusion from my presentation last night. And I mean, first I would say you should get involved, especially if the HVAC&R industry is where you see yourself. There is no more appropriate organization to join than ASHRAE. And I think the theme of a lot of the keynote speaker speeches was this: to get involved, to put yourself out there, to listen to the experiences of others as you decide on a career path. And at Portland State, I think we do a really, really good job of outreach and of just being connected with our Oregon chapter. So there's plenty of opportunities. At least one or two of the events that we run per term are kind of centered around networking with professionals in the area. And a lot of, as I said, a lot of the students are seniors seeking employment. And I think ASHRAE is a great place to make connections.
Fantastic. Before we go to the last question, I want to thank everybody for participating today. What a great panel we've had. You've brought up a lot of different ideas, a lot of different thoughts, and I see a bright future of leadership in ASHRAE in the industry in all three of you. So the last question is going to come to all four. And Jared, you get to go first this time. What brief final thoughts would you like to share?
Yeah, it's ASHRAE's been a great experience for me as a whole. I'm just kind of ending my, I started in 2012 as a volunteer with ASHRAE and with student activities, and it's just been progressing year after year and becoming involved. And the people I meet are just phenomenal, and I get so much more energy back from the students and seeing kind of how so many people like the three of you are engaging and really grasping onto the heart of what it is. And in a volunteer organization like ASHRAE, you have a great chance to develop so many soft skills as well, apart from the technical skills. And that's kind of what really drove me a lot and finds me where I am today. And like you guys were saying too, the people you meet across the world, you make friends forever, and you bump into them down the road outside of ASHRAE or within conferences. And it's just it's just it's great to connect again.
Fantastic. Brett, would you be willing to go next, please?
Sure. Yeah, I've been part of ASHRAE for about 2.5 years now. I've pretty much been every officer role at my student chapter. Now I'm president. Yeah, and it really changed, kind of changed my life. Like when I transferred into the school, didn't really have much direction. I joined the club, and it kind of shaped my path. And I've met a lot of like-minded people. I found that, and a big part of my presentation last night was the generosity that ASHRAE gives to students, not just financially, but just support-wise, is pretty astounding. Yeah, and I think I'm going to join the Smart Start program, and I will probably be an ASHRAE member for the rest of my life. It's been a really great experience.
Fantastic. Melanie, how about you go next?
I love just the strides that ASHRAE is taking in the energy industry, and it gives me a lot of hope. We attended the Woman in ASHRAE breakfast, and just seeing that their opinions and their industry experiences, it really gave me motivation that as women, we have 3 female officers. So it is an awesome accomplishment in a very male dominant field. And I feel like ASHRAE is making really great strides in the diversity aspect. And thank you for acknowledging it, because I feel like some organizations wouldn't.
Thanks so much, Melanie. Megan, you get the last word.
So as kind of the final, I've been part of ASHRAE effectively my whole life. Through my mom was a member of ASHRAE, and so I can't remember the first time I came to a meeting, but I didn't start paying attention until I was a student member. And I went through and I was part of the leadership in our student branch for a while, as well as just a member. And I really appreciate the organization's ability to make a change that counts, because everyone lives in buildings, everyone interacts with each other in the built environment, in space, in boats, whatever it is. If it's handmade or man-made, it's probably connected to the built environment. And I appreciate the effort being made to make our world a better place every single day for everyone else.
Well, what fantastic words to share for an ending. Thank you so much for those viewing. If you're a student, reach out. If there isn't a student branch at the university, find a local chapter. We want to work with you. For our members and chapters, let's make sure that we reach out to our student branches and for the advisors who put in a lot of the work. We very much appreciate what you do. Brett mentioned the Smart Start program. What is that? If you're a student member and you graduate and you go directly to become an ASHRAE associate member, you pay 1 year's worth of dues over the next 3 years. It is the best deal in the industry, bar none. It is the way to go. So again, thank you to Brett, Melanie, Jared, and Megan for the time, for your enthusiasm, for sharing with our audience. And we hope to see many of you back for next month's Member to Member Connection.